Where's the Alderman? Whenever you're ready, Commander.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm William Betancourt. I'm the 10th District Commander. I'd like to provide a short update on the senseless act of violence that occurred early this morning, resulting in 15 people shot. Before I do that, I'd like to express the Department's support for the victims of the shooting. It's a traumatic incident for the victims as well as their families and the community at large. Our crime victim advocates are working to connect with the victims and all those affected by the shooting and to ensure they have the resources they need to move forward. Director Glenn Brooks of the Office of Community Policing will have more to say about this in a moment. So I'll give you a quick synopsis of what took place. Shortly after 1 in the morning, 10th District officers responded to the 1200 block South Pulaski, where a shooting had just occurred at a Halloween gathering. Approximately 100 people were attending. Upon arrival, the officers were given information from partygoers with a brief description of the offender as well as direction of flight. Responding officers observed the offender on the 4000 block of 14th Street. They placed him into custody immediately. A protective pat-down resulted in the recovery of a firearm. The victims, who range in age from 26 to 53, were taken to different hospitals within the area. 2 of the victims were transported in critical condition. The others were transported in good to fair condition. At this time, Area 4 detectives are investigating. They're interviewing the suspect, and they're trying to investigate what led up to the shooting. Victims and witnesses did relate that the suspect was ejected from the party, and he came back a few minutes later with a gun and began to shoot. We know that the location where the gathering took place has a history of throwing unlicensed events. Once CPD concludes their investigation, Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, BACP, and other city agencies will investigate and issue enforcement actions as needed. I want to thank the officers involved in responding to this shooting and the apprehension of the suspect. They worked quickly with the police dispatchers to relay information and arrest the armed suspect. These officers work tirelessly every day, okay? And they work hard. They put their lives at risk to do what they have to do to protect the community. So as the commander of the 10th District, I'm proud of my officers, and I'd like to thank them. I'd like to introduce Director Glenn Brooks.
Good afternoon. So before we get started, I just want to take a moment and really acknowledge what you see behind us is the whole of not only government, but of community. Today we've been joined not only with Alderman Scott, whose ward we are in, we've been joined by, I don't forget anybody, Alderman Dow, Alderman Robinson, Alderman Irving, I believe I saw Alderman Curtis, Alderman Burnett, and Senator Collins is also. Commissioner Diaz with us. Diaz is here. And I just want to thank them for coming out on a rainy day. I'm sorry that they had to come for such a tragic incident. The commander talked about holding the offender accountable, but it's really important that we also deal with the trauma that has affected not only the victims, but their families and this community. As a part of that, we are going to open up an emergency assistance center. We have begun to do this after mass incidents. That will be opening on Tuesday, the 31st. It will be open from 12 to 7 p.m. right here at the Wyman, which is located at 1241 South Pulaski. And that is for anyone who's been affected by gun violence. Whether it was this incident that triggered was a trigger for you or your family member, on Tuesday, it's a point that you can get help for yourselves and your family. This is important. We can hold people accountable, but we have to heal as a community if we're going to stop this cycle of violence. And again, that'll be open Tuesday from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. That not only will have CPD victim services there, but we will have community partners from Lawndale Christian to UCAN to some of our hospital partners and our other community-based partners. So thank you very much. I would like to turn it over to BACP First Deputy Commissioner Ivan Capafelli.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. My name is Ivan Capafelli, and I'm the First Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, also known as BACP. Chicago's businesses are pillars of our communities. They are also crucial partners for the Chicago Police and various civil departments. BACP works with community partners and city agencies to address important issues related to the safety of all Chicagoans. To do so, BACP is charged with preserving quality of life in our communities by ensuring that businesses comply with Chicago's municipal code. To do so, we work closely with city departments, other persons, and community partners to be informed on illegal businesses activities occurring in our communities. One tool we have to address public safety is a coordinated multi-agency task force in collaboration with the Chicago Police Department and the Chicago Department of Buildings to prevent and follow up on egregious and dangerous violations. After the Chicago Police Department concludes its investigation and gives clearance, BACP and our partners will investigate. If violations are found, we do not hesitate to issue various types of enforcement actions. We simply cannot let bad operators put the well-being of Chicagoans at risk. I want to thank the City Department we work closely with, especially the Chicago Police Department, commanders and officers. They are allies to our enforcement operations. Thank you again for everyone for coming here today. I'd like to pass it over to Alderman Scott.
Hello, I'm Alderman Scott of the 24th Ward, and this senseless incident happened in my community. I don't know whether to scream or to cry. We shouldn't be out here on a Sunday because 15 victims lay in the hospital because they were shot, because someone couldn't get back into a party. When does this end, community? When does the fight stop fighting one another? I appreciate my community for being out here. I appreciate all of the elected officials. But I want you to know, community, I want you to know if you're looking and you are the bad guy, this has to stop. At what point does it stop? At what point does a parent, a grandmother, or a father get tired of burying their children? You know, we were lucky because no one was actually killed, but people were shot today. No one wants... I want to call my community out for good, not for an incident like this. And standing behind me is my community, and I appreciate the support. Again, my heart goes out to the families. It goes out to the victims that was here last night. There's trauma behind all of this, and that's something that we shouldn't normalize. And this is becoming normal in our community. This is senseless, and it needs to stop. I appreciate you all for being out here. Thank you guys for standing behind me. Thank you for the support. And I will now introduce Pastor Brooks of Harmony Church.
James Brooks. Most of all, I'm a resident of North Lawndale, so this is my community. I woke up this morning to the tragic news of this shooting. My heart broke, of course. I just started to scream out, Lord, have mercy. Our community should be able to gather in a place and be safe without the threat of violence. As the pastor of Harmony Community Church and as the CEO of Lawndale Christian Health Center, sometimes I ask the question or get asked the question, hey, what is health? Well, health is holistic. That includes physical health, mental health, and spiritual health. Also, how I think about health is community. That means if one is not well, then our community is not well. And right now, due to this tragic event, we're not well right now. We're struggling. And we need to come together like never before. The church, though, is called to be present because God is a very present help in the time of trouble. And we must continue to offer resources to our residents and our beloved community, especially those who have experienced tremendous trauma.
We also will offer prayer. I believe that prayer still works. Prayer still matters. We can call upon the name of the Lord. So we will gather just in a little while at 4 o'clock and have a prayer gathering for the healing of the victims. For Scripture proclaims, when the foundation have been shaken, what will the righteous do? We will come together. And finally, I said, like I started, this is my community. And North Lawndale, let the narrative be known that we are a strong community. We are a vibrant community. We come together. Look at all of these folks behind me. This shows that we care about one another. Black Men United, Stone Temple, our elected officials, St. Agatha, and so on, and our 10th District Police. We are a strong community. We are a vibrant community. Let that be known. Thank you.
There's your question.
Commander, can you first start with telling us a little bit more background about this location here? Shooting on 1258, I did hear saying they have a history of throwing unlicensed events. It's the same thing we heard maybe a week or two ago when we did the story in River North about a location that has been that has seen the same thing. What do we know about this place?
Right now, that's I was talking to PACP, and we do know that it is a licensed art gallery. And that's all we know about it. However, we know that they do host events that are not sanctioned, so therefore their art license doesn't allow that. We had an incident back May 6th where we had to shut them down for events, and this is another event that resulted in a tragedy. The one earlier on, we didn't have anything, we were able to catch it real quick. This one was all done by word of mouth, so we were not aware. We were caught off guard.
And in terms of the suspect, did he re-enter the building, or were all of the shots fired from the outside?
That is still under investigation, so I would defer that to more comments.
Any other questions?
Yes. I know you said that the May 6th incident, or investigation was done already, but was there enforcement taken over whatever that incident was?
Yes, BACP did come out and we were able to shut it down.
But was there like a fine, or was it something else?
There was a cease and desist order issued, and as far as fines and stuff like that, BACP would be able to answer that a little bit better. We as a police do.
Do you have an answer to that item?
I do not have that information with you. We can follow up.
Okay. Would you be able to share that information with us?
Yes, sure. Just follow up with
And the event last night, it was unlicensed?
Yes.
Do you have any updates on the condition of the people who were shot? Are they still hospitalized? How many?
We still have folks that are hospitalized. As far as the count, we don't know. Like I said, they were taken in good to fair, and we had 2 critical. We'll provide updates once we get more information.
Amanda, do you have some sort of a further description on the suspect? Does he know the police? Like, is there any background there you can share?
At that point, it's under investigation. All I can tell you is that he is in custody.
You know, if there's an age?
Like I said, I won't provide that Fourth Amendment rights. He is in custody.
And there's only believed to be one shooter, correct? Or multiple?
At this point, yes.
Finally, Alderman Scott, can we address you one more time? I believe when we met in July, that was your first mass shooting, if I'm not mistaken, here in Lawndale. I believe there were 8 people shot. A woman died in that. Speaking specifically to the residents here on the west side in Lawndale, to hear that this is a business that's had issues before. I see several city council members here and state lawmakers. What are we doing from a proactive measure to make sure that this doesn't happen, not in just this community, but in other communities?
So this would come with probably working with BACP and also working with buildings to find out which of these buildings are actually licensed. That's the only thing that we can do right now is to work with BACP to find out which buildings are actual licensed buildings to hold several events in. Because that's not something, typically if I'm riding down the street, I'm not going to say, I don't know, hey, this is a licensed business. Because most times the shutters are always down at that business. So you don't know unless they illegally open up. And then they're open for business. The beauty of this part, you know, it's no beauty to this, but there's an officer outside because they were dispersing, I'm assuming. And That's how we were able to catch, not we, but that's how the cops were able to catch the offender.
Last question.
Director Brooks, can you tell me more about what support people can get from the emergency center here? And although, Scott, if you want to add any notes on what the government's going to do for the people who are affected here, what kind of material support are they going to get?
So the first and most important support is to connect them with some trauma support for them. The second thing is working with our hospital partners as they recover physically, that they get that type of support. Third, it is really making sure we rebuild that social fabric to help support them over the next several months. When you have the physical pain, that's one. But the trauma that comes after it is long lasting. And if we don't address this, we know hurt people can hurt other people. So we're trying to break that cycle and working not only with the department, but the community part. You cannot shortchange the fact that the community has come out here today and will come out again to support and rebuild so we stop this cycle of violence.
Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for coming. Thank you.